Have you ever noticed how the people who are always available somehow end up being the least valued? Why is it that the moment you become infinitely accessible, something shifts in the way others perceive your worth? It's a painful paradox that plays out in relationships everywhere. The more you give of your time without boundaries, the less that time seems to matter. Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. How many times have you dropped everything the second she called? How often have you rearranged your entire schedule just to fit into hers? The uncomfortable truth is that this pattern of constant availability isn't just exhausting, it's actually undermining the very connection you're trying to build. Think about it. When was the last time you genuinely valued something that was always there, always available, with no effort required to obtain it? We humans have a strange relationship with value. We don't appreciate the oxygen we breathe until we can't catch our breath. We don't treasure our health until it falters. And sadly, we often don't value someone's time until it becomes scarce. You were taught that being a good partner means being there whenever needed. That showing up, being reliable, and making yourself endlessly available was the recipe for building a strong relationship. But that advice, however well-intentioned, missed a crucial psychological component of human connection, the power of earned attention. What if I told you that your constant availability isn't communicating devotion, but instead teaching others that your time has no value? That by being perpetually free, you're unintentionally sending the message that you have nothing else meaningful happening in your life? The problem isn't your willingness to be there for someone you care about. The problem is the absence of healthy boundaries around your most precious resource, your time. When you make yourself endlessly available, you're not just giving away hours of your day. You're giving away your power, your agency, and ultimately, your attractiveness. Because the truth that nobody talks about is that attraction isn't just about physical appearance or personality. It's deeply rooted in perceived value, and something freely given, with no parameters or expectations, inevitably becomes devalued. I know this might feel counterintuitive. After all, shouldn't relationships be about generosity and mutual support? Of course they should, but there's a profound difference between generosity and self-sacrifice, between support and self-erasure. The most painful part, you probably began this pattern with the best intentions. You wanted to show up fully. You wanted to demonstrate your commitment. You wanted to make her feel prioritized and important. But instead of creating appreciation, you've created expectation. Instead of building desire, you've built dependence. Instead of fostering respect, you've fostered entitlement. So if constant availability is the trap, what's the escape route? How do you transition from being taken for granted to being genuinely valued and desired? The answer isn't about playing mind games or creating artificial scarcity. It's about reclaiming the authentic value of your time and attention through 3 fundamental shifts in how you show up in relationships. The first shift is rebuilding your relationship with yourself. When was the last time you invested in your own growth, pursued your own passions, or prioritized your own well-being? The harsh reality is that you cannot be truly valuable to someone else when you've abandoned what makes you uniquely you. Your interests, your goals, your separate identity, these aren't distractions from your relationship. They're the very elements that make you an interesting, dynamic partner worth pursuing. Start by reclaiming at least 2 evenings a week that are exclusively yours. Not for work, not for errands, but for meaningful engagement with your own life. Whether that's reconnecting with friends, pursuing a hobby, or developing a skill, what matters is that you're investing in yourself as deliberately as you've been investing in your relationship. The second shift involves communicating clear boundaries around your time. This isn't about suddenly becoming cold or distant. It's about honest communication that respects both her needs and your own. Instead of saying, "I'm free whenever," try, "I have time on Tuesday evening and would love to see you then." Notice the difference? One positions your time as worthless, the other as valuable but intentionally offered. When you first begin establishing these boundaries, expect resistance. If someone has grown accustomed to your unlimited availability, they'll naturally push back when that changes. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're disrupting a pattern that wasn't serving either of you. The initial discomfort is the necessary growing pain of a healthier dynamic. The third and perhaps most important shift is developing comfort with occasional absence. The space between your interactions isn't empty, it's fertile ground where anticipation and desire grow. By allowing for this space, you're not pulling away. You're creating the necessary distance that makes coming together meaningful. Remember, quality always trumps quantity. A fully present hour where you're engaged, attentive, and undistracted is worth more than an entire day of half-hearted presence. When you do spend time together, Be fully there, phone away, distractions minimized, genuinely connected. This contrast between your thoughtful absence and your complete presence creates a powerful rhythm that elevates your value in the relationship. As you implement these changes, be prepared for the uncomfortable truth that not everyone will respond positively. Some people are drawn to partners with poor boundaries precisely because it serves their need for control or validation. If establishing healthy patterns around your time leads to constant conflict, that's valuable information about the foundation of your relationship. But in a healthy dynamic, something remarkable happens when you reclaim your time. Rather than diminishing your connection, it deepens it. Rather than creating distance, it generates closeness. Because now, when you choose to be together, it's exactly that. A choice, not a default. A deliberate decision, not a passive pattern. Here's what typically unfolds. As you become less constantly available, she begins to wonder what you're doing. As you invest in your own life, she becomes curious about the parts of you she doesn't have unlimited access to. As you establish boundaries, she starts to recognize and respect the value of crossing them. Gradually, the dynamic shifts. She begins planning ahead to see you. She starts treating your time together as the priority it deserves to be. She initiates more. She invests more. She appreciates more. Not because you've manipulated her into wanting you, but because you've restored the natural order of human connection, where mutual effort and respect create mutual desire. There's something profoundly attractive about a person who values themselves enough to have boundaries. It communicates self-respect, confidence, and emotional maturity. It signals that being with you is a choice made from desire, not desperation. It transforms you from an option into a priority. The most beautiful paradox. When you stop being endlessly available, you become infinitely more valuable. When you reclaim your time, you reclaim your power in the relationship. When you create space, you create possibility. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. It's not about manufacturing scarcity. It's about demonstrating worth. It's not about withholding. It's about elevating what you give by changing how you give it. The rewards of this transformation extend far beyond just having her beg for your time. That's merely the surface-level outcome of a much deeper shift. The real reward is developing a relationship where both people choose each other actively, deliberately, and enthusiastically every single day. So ask yourself, what would change if you treated your time as your most valuable asset? How would your relationship transform if you brought your best self to fewer, more meaningful interactions rather than your exhausted self to constant, diluted ones? Your time is the currency of your life. How you spend it reflects what you value. When you value yourself enough to create boundaries around your time, you invite others to value you equally. You deserve a relationship where your presence is appreciated, not expected, where your attention is treasured, not assumed, where your time is respected, not consumed. Starting today, be intentional with your time. Invest in yourself as thoroughly as you've invested in others. Communicate your boundaries clearly and compassionately. Create the space that allows desire to flourish, and watch as the entire dynamic of your relationship transforms, not through manipulation or games, but through the authentic reclamation of your own value. Because when you truly understand your worth, she will too. When you genuinely respect your time, she will too. And when you deliberately choose to spend your precious time with her, she'll recognize it for the valuable gift it truly is. This isn't just about having her beg for your time. It's about creating a relationship where both of you choose each other, value each other, and prioritize each other, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. And that's something worth more than all the free time in the world.